Here's the cows. They're kind of neat. Little cows. I don't want to be in these people's way, so I'm going to go over this way. Go through here. What we can find. That's just looks like a sparkling water drink. I don't think there's any alcohol in that. Here we go. Maybe these. Just an energy drink. Still, we'll find a garbage can for them. We will. Yeah. There's a cord. Oh, trailer park boys. All right. Oh. If it's got the trailer park boys on it, you know it's got alcohol in it. They wouldn't be bothered with it if it didn't. I see a Pabst Blue Ribbon over there. This is where they have the demolition derby every year. It's funny, I'll tell you a funny story. I was at this fair one time, years and years ago. I used to like to go to the demolition derby. That was a big thing for me. And of course, because I had a lot of friends who were mechanics, I knew a lot of the guys in it, you know, because it was mostly mechanics that would be in that. Anyway, a few of them even, I had even helped them work on their cars to go in it, so I was familiar with some of the cars even. But I'll tell you this story. There was a really crooked car dealer in town. He actually is still in town. Screwed a lot of people over really bad. I'm not going to say his name, but I know who he is. I'm not going to say his name anyway. Probably better not to. But anyway, he had entered a car in the demolition derby. And I remember it was an old Ford Granada, like a late 70s Ford Granada car. That's what he had entered in it. So he had this Fort Granada car in there, and he wasn't doing too bad, really. Considering that it was a lighter car, really, especially. He was doing some damage. But they had logs at that time. They had logs, these huge logs up around the perimeter, I guess to act as a protective barrier to keep a car from getting knocked out of the ring, you know, and maybe going into the crowd or whatever. And so they had these huge logs that were supposed to stop that from happening. Well, I don't know who this other man was, but it was another guy that was in the demolition derby. And he lined this car dealer up, and he just started ramming him. And he'd back up, and he'd ram him again, and he rammed him again. And he kept hitting him, pushed him all the way across the enclosure there, all the way across there, you know, from one side to the other. And then, of course, like I say, there were these big logs that were probably 3 to 4 feet high, with laying on their sides, you know, huge logs. And rammed them so hard, actually put them right up on top of the logs. And you can see the car dealer there in the car, and he's just shrugging his shoulders. Because what could he do, you know? But yeah, I remember that. I remember thinking, I'll bet you that car that guy's driving, I'll bet you it's one of the cars that guy sold. And it's probably in the demolition derby, because that's all it was any good for, you know. Anyway, just a kind of a funny thing that happened. It gave me some satisfaction, because I didn't like that guy. I don't like a con artist, and I don't like that guy. So I was perfectly happy to see that happen to him. But things around here. Nope, nothing in there. Okay. Horses. Yeah. It's kind of nice to come out and see people doing what they do and having a good time doing it, you know. These people who have horses, they love their horses. They wouldn't have them otherwise, you know, because there's a lot of work and expense in having a horse. So, you know, anybody who's keeping a horse, they really do love that animal. So this is their opportunity to come and kind of show off their pride and joy. And it's kind of a nice thing anyway. Nothing in there.
Check out your ground numbers. Thank you, dear Victoria. We want to keep things moving around. We have you ready to run. When your name is called. That's a good distance. Hard. Right.
All right. We'll go back this way. Those blue ones there with the lids on them, those are probably the Shriners. They collect cans and so on. So that's probably what they are. I don't interfere with their stuff. That's their stuff, so I leave it be. We go this way. Let's see here. Oftentimes you find a lot of stuff in through here. Also back along there, but I'm not going to go back there right now because the people have their horses there and stuff, and like I say, I don't want to be in anybody's way or to cause any safety concerns or whatever, I don't want to do that. So for that reason, I'm pretty careful of where I go. So on. Go back this way. Well, I've got a few anyway. Let's have a look and see what this is. There's one of the demolition derby cars. They're a lot smaller now than they used to be. Back when the last time I went to the demolition derby, it was all Pontiac Parisiennes and Chev Caprices, Oldsmobile Delta 88s, the full-size ones, the old rear-wheel drive ones and stuff. When I first went to it back in the early 70s, it was all 1950s cars, 40s and 50s, and very early 60s cars in some cases too. But yeah, let's just motor along here. See what we can find. Oh, nothing in there, just soda cans. Just soda cans. Okay, now I'm gonna go back. Like I say, at one time I collected them too, but they pay so little now, it's not really worthwhile. So I don't do it anymore. Thing is too, when you get in around where the horse people are, that's where you will often find cans and bottles and stuff where the horse people are, like alcohol containers. But I don't like to be in their way. Plus, horses can be skittish animals, and when there's somebody around that they don't know, and clanking around bags of cans and stuff, it's not very conducive to keeping a horse in a relaxed and calm state of mind. This is kind of neat here. They put these plastic things around new trees to keep the squirrels from climbing up them and keep different animals from climbing up them and doing damage. But the trees outgrow the little enclosure, and you can see that's what's happened here. These trees are all bigger than the plastic enclosures that were around them now. So that's kind of neat to see too. Yes. All right, now there's a can there. Let's see what it is. Coors Light. That's what we want. That's one of the ones we want anyway. Okay, now. Okay, I'll go down a little bit here because there's no horses along this stretch. and I'm bound to find some cans that I want. So I'll do that. Okay. I'll just go down until the horses start. When I see horse trailers, then I go the other way, which I see right ahead of me there. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll shut this video down and I'll start another one. Bye for now.